this is gonna be day 3 at camp, and we decided to stay at the same place all 3 nights, basically just because that's kind of what the group wanted to do, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. We actually have a big lake behind us. There's lots of cool stuff here at camp. I thought I'd do a quick tour. So we've got the Tacoma and the 4x4 Colorado Kuat set up here. And we have our camp kitchen and everything on that side, which I'll show you in a minute. I got my solar set up, which is recharging my batteries, and that's worked fantastic. The All-Powers solar panels work great to recharge the smaller battery, no problems whatsoever. I've pulled up to 115 or so watts out of that. So far, I haven't watched it all day, but easily charged up my battery, no problem. We've got the Renogy system that is recharging the bigger battery. It's worked amazing for powering the fridge, no problems whatsoever with that, and hardly uses any power. In fact, I think it's already full here this morning. Yep, it's full. I've also used the Renogy system to power individual things off the USB hub back here, and that's worked really well too. So the AC60 we've been using inside the tent to power a heating pad to keep us warm at night, and it's been more than enough. We used about 45% of the battery last night with the heating pad, but it's been plenty hot inside the tent, and the temperatures have been down into the 40s at night, so we've been plenty warm. And then we've also been charging other devices off this throughout the day, whether that is my cameras or drones or other people's phones, that kind of stuff. So continuing on the little tour here, we also have our camp kitchen, as I said, and this is kind of where we've been using the moon shade and the moon walls to make sure that everything stays dry and we don't have any issues. We did have a couple of rainstorms that came through, but all of that has been pretty light, so not a problem there. Everything's worked great as far as that goes, and we have a couple different camp kitchen setups here. Brian brought along the Eureka, so we've been using that a little bit, and then we've also been using the BRS dual burner. Something that we used for the first time, both for dishes and then Misty and I took showers, was the geyser. This worked really well for our needs, so I was very impressed with this. Definitely would recommend it for people just getting into something they want to shower, want to be able to do dishes really easy, and this was amazing for dishes. We've been using the APL 55, and that again has kept all of our stuff plenty cool. We've definitely overpacked for this trip. Like I said, we have 1 day left and the fridge is completely full. So we probably had more than we needed, but we wanted to make sure we had enough food. And we definitely did, and everything's staying plenty cold. So that's the setup in the back. And again, it's using hardly any power, even though it's been pretty warm during the day. One thing I do want to talk about that is very helpful has been this thermocell. So this thermocell has kept all the mosquitoes out of this area, no problem. And there are a lot of mosquitoes here because there's a lot of water. And even though we've had to bathe in DEET outside of this to kind of keep them off, inside of here, there just aren't any mosquitoes whatsoever, and that's pretty nice. So if you're looking for a way to keep mosquitoes out, use the thermocell, but it's supposed to do 20 feet around you. But if where you're using this isn't covered, it may not actually do as well, because obviously that's just going to kind of blow this stuff that's coming out of here away from you. But it does work really, really well. So that's the sort of camp kitchen setup. This is Heart Lake area in the flat tops. We set up the fire pit. Brian also brought along a paddleboard, and the girls took that out yesterday. We have a couple of hammocks set up here too, which is super helpful. So one there and one there. We might set up some more today. Today is the last full day that we're going to be here, and we ended up here for a couple of reasons. Number one, the van was definitely not going to make it all the way to Adams Lake, so we didn't make it all the way to Adams Lake, but we did make it to this lake, and it is gorgeous. So we've got just a real beautiful lake here. There are some leeches in there, but there are some ducks and some other things. There's been a lot of sheep in the area, which is kind of interesting. This is just kind of what it looks like. This is where we've been for the last few days and kind of hanging out. We've been taking some hikes every day. And yesterday, Brian volunteered to take down his tent and see if we could make it to Adams Lake in his Jeep. We got about 3/4 of the way there, and there is a sort of switchback area with lots of rocks. And at that point, we ran into a Jeep Rubicon doing a recovery of a motorcycle and a couple we had met the day before. And they basically kind of convinced us that that's as far as we wanted to go probably that day anyway, and we helped them kind of load the motorbike up. It was a beautiful area. I definitely want to get to Adams Lake someday, but I'm not sure the truck would have made it all the way there without taking a little bit of damage for sure in the stock form. So definitely probably lifted with bigger tires would have been fine. Jeep would have made it, but we decided to turn back as gas was getting a little bit low. I do want to talk about Brian's rigs. He obviously got into some mud yesterday and had a good time, but you can see his Intrepid camp gear tent and his full setup. And then we also have the van over here, and the van has everything kind of self-contained. Casey and Autumn just had to park. That's all they had to do, and that was it. So they've enjoyed that and slept very well in that. Day 2, we took some hikes. Today's going to be kind of a relaxation day, and then we're going to do some pre-packing before we head back tomorrow morning. But it's been an amazing trip so far. Everybody's had a great time. And I've been really impressed by how all 3 vehicles have performed on these trails, especially the van. The van went way further than you would ever imagine and did a really good job. Plus everything's just ready to go. So far it's been a great trip. Yeah.